have already. I don't need to add any.
Hello. Hello. Good afternoon. The date is May 1st, 2025, and the time is 5:02 p.m. I hereby call to order the meeting of the Planning and Zoning Board of the City of Groveland, Florida. Thank you for joining us for the city's P&Z board meeting. On behalf of myself, the soon-to-be vice chair. All board members and staff, we hope you and your families are well. All votes will be received by roll call vote. For board discussion, I will call on each board member individually to avoid members talking over one another. We will also be taking public comment during the meeting as well. At this time, Maria, will you please call the roll?
Board Member Zach Decker.
Here.
Board Member Robin Hoover. Here. Board Member Carrie Lambert. Here. Board Member Stephen Shakowski. Here. Board Member Alicia Garcia. Here. Board Member Lindsay Crum. Here. Board Member Mike Archer.
Here.
Non-voting member Bill Mathias. Absent. Community and Economic Development Director Tim Maslow. Here. City Attorney Anita Gerasi Carver. Here. Recording Secretary Maria Ramirez. Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum. Now let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this time, we need to conduct a small piece of business before we get into our agenda. This week, our chairman of the Planning and Zoning Board, Bob Proper, resigned, and as the vice chair, myself, am I just stepping into that role? Okay. So I will, Zach Decker is now the chairman of the Planning and Zoning Committee, and at this time, I'd like to take nominations for the vice chair.
I'd like to nominate Robin Hoover.
Second.
Okay. Any others? Okay, we have one nomination for vice chair. Maria, will you please take a vote for us?
Chair Zach Decker, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Robin Hoover, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Carrie Lambert, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Stephen Shafowski, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Alicia Garcia, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Lindsay Crum, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Board Member Mike Archer, how do you vote? All ayes.
Thank you, and congratulations, Ms. Robin Hoover. Maria, at this time, will you please read the consent agenda?
It is the approval of minutes from the February 6th and March 6th, 2025 P&Z Board meetings.
Okay, do we have a motion to accept the consent agenda item?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Maria, will you take vote, call for the vote?
Yes. Vice Chair Robin Hoover, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Carrie Lambert, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Stephen Shafowski, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Alicia Garcia, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Lindsay Crum, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Mike Archer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair Zach Decker, how do you vote?
Aye.
All ayes.
Thank you, Maria. One other order of business, I apologize. Mike Archer was formerly an alternate. Now with Bob stepping aside, Mike will now be a full-time member of the Planning and Zoning Committee. All right, moving on to a presentation. We have a presentation at this time from Brent Haywood of Lake Apopka Natural Gas.
Good evening. Again, my name is Brent Haywood. I'm the General Manager, CEO for Lake Apopka Natural Gas. Really appreciate you all having us here this evening to talk about our Energy Choice Initiative. I'll try to be brief as possible. I know I have a limited amount of time. There are some slides in the slideshow and the slide deck that I gave you that I won't go over, but if you have questions about anything, please don't hesitate to ask. So again, starting out, what we're here today is talk about energy choice. Lake Apopka Natural Gas, we're the natural gas distribution company for West Orange and South Lake counties. Right there you see we serve more than 29,000 customers. Actually, this month we hit our 30,000th customer. We've been the natural gas distribution company for this area for over 65 years. We're actually closing out our 65th anniversary this year. And our whole goal has been, as we were created by an act of the state, we're a public entity, we're actually a state entity created to bring natural gas, no different than a lot of the electric cooperatives. You may be more familiar with the electric cooperative. We're pretty much the same thing, being a special utility district, but we were created by an act of the state to bring natural gas to the people of the area. So there's no profit involved. Everything that we take in, we put back into the communities we serve. So again, here to talk about energy choice. One of the things when I came here, I've been with the district now for a little over a year. I've been in the utility business for over 26 years. And one of the things that I recognized when I came is to the area was I was seeing a lot of electric-only developments that were coming in, a lot of developments that were choosing to not bring natural gas into the development. Well, we put together, I think, a pretty strong case for why natural gas should be included in every new development that comes in, and hopefully you'll be able to see that by the end of this presentation. But the Lake Apopka Natural Gas Energy Choice Initiative is a movement to assure the right to choose your energy. Being here, being a citizen of the state of Florida, the United States, choice is something that we pride ourselves on. Back in 2019, the governor passed a state law that restricted any public entity from restricting access to energy of any sort. That was about the time when there were a lot of initiatives banning natural gas and other energy sources from being used. They were wanting to go to an electric-only model. Well, what we're trying to do is we're trying to guarantee that every energy source that's available to us, most people are familiar with electricity, most people understand the nature of solar power, but making sure that natural gas is available as a key energy source is what we're here talking about today. Sorry, I didn't realize that the mouse would go to sleep on me. So just to give you a little more information about the electrification movement. Electrification is a movement to move ourselves more towards a single source energy model. Well, when you do that, that creates a monopoly. And all of us know from back in the days whenever we've had to come in and governments had to intercede and break monopolies up and do things that are important to maintain the integrity of business, we realize that monopolies are not necessarily a great thing. But the electrification movement, the movement to put electric only into our homes and into our developments is really hinges itself on the fact that it's a misconception that electricity is affordable, is as affordable, dependable, and reliable as natural gas, and it's not. Natural gas has its niche, electric has its niche, different energy sources have their niche, but no energy source can do what natural gas does. That's very evident in the state, and I'll show you that here in a minute, because 82% of electricity in the state of Florida is generated from natural gas. Okay. All right. So real quick on this slide here, the slide with the blue. If we have chosen as a nation an electrification energy model, during the winters, it would cost us an extra $137 billion to heat our homes, to cook our meals, to do the things that we need to do because of the competition model. Again, that's an increase of $137 billion nationally. As far as local goes, in the state of Florida, there's a premium as well in the state of Florida, which most people don't realize that in the state of Florida, natural gas is the primary electric generator. This little chart that I've got up here shows back in January of 2024, which was last year, 75% of electricity at that point in time was generated with natural gas. The other percentage was based on the two nuclear plants that are in the state. There's a lot of solar generation within the state, but if you look at this slide here, in January of 2025, that model shifted drastically towards natural gas. Why is that? Because natural gas prices have stayed stable, they've stayed low, and it makes it available for the electric companies to be able to bring generation on quickly, easily. For the amount of growth that we've had in the state, they've had to bring on initial generation. So now, natural gas generates 82% of all electricity generated in the state. So what does that mean? It means every location where we're using electricity, where we should be using natural gas, we're losing 60% of that energy value. The conversion rate from natural gas to electricity is 60%. So that means 60 cents out of every dollar you spend on electricity where you should be using natural gas, you're just throwing it out the window. So us, the natural gas district, our job is to make sure that we're using our resources as most efficiently and as well as possible. But inside the state of Florida, we're losing close to $7.3 billion a year across the state because we're not using the energy sources wisely. For those of you who are, I'm actually a civil and environmental engineer by trade, so you know I can talk the green initiatives and environmental, but again, that energy conversion loss cost us about 44 million metric tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere as well. So there's a big hit there. Again, back in 2019 or 2021, House Bill 919 prevented any local government entities from banning or restricting energy sources, but that didn't solve the fact that a lot of developers and developments were pushing to go electric only in their model. So again, the purpose of that was to protect the individuals from not having a choice again. So what's the threat? The threat is that our communities are being developed without a choice of their energy needs. They're having to choose electricity to cook their meals. They're having to choose electricity to warm the water, to take a warm bath. They're having to choose electricity to warm their homes. And every dollar that you spend on electricity, you're throwing 60 cents out of every dollar away. Not to mention, electric appliances have a lower overall lifespan. They also have a higher cost of operation as far as maintenance and things go as well. So what we're looking for is we're trying to curb this movement for developers choosing what our communities are going to get, right? A lot of the developments have chosen to not allow natural gas in their development, and we have seen that growing drastically throughout the area, again, because it's an easy thing to do. It costs them a little less money on the front end, but in the long term, it costs us a lot of money as far as our communities go. I have to wake this up. So what kind of money are we talking about? The average home loses $1,100 a year if it's an electric-only home, okay? Doesn't sound like a lot of money, but you take $1,100 a year over a family that's got 2 kids, 4 kids, that's a substantial amount of money. When you're talking about fixed income homes, you're talking about low income families, that's a substantial amount of money. But what does that money add up to? This is just talking about the district, our service territory. In West Orange and South Lake counties, there are $127 million a year that's being lost in wasted energy costs because we haven't done what we needed to do to make sure that natural gas is available throughout our communities. In Groveland alone, there are 7,700 homes or properties that either don't have natural gas available or aren't using natural gas. That's $7.7 million a year that's being lost to our local community. Again, people look and say, okay, well, if they put gas in, then that puts money in the gas company's pocket. Again, we're 93% efficient in what we do. So in that 60% loss, you really turn around and you save 50, 53, 54% by switching to natural gas. all the money that you save goes back into the communities. It goes back into communities in the form of franchise fees that we pay at every one of our franchise cities, but it also goes back into communities in the form of growing into existing areas where they don't have natural gas available. Again, we're a big supporter as far as the communities go as well. But again, there's a huge impact to our community. So what we've done is we put together a package that we call our Energy Choice Initiative, and we're looking to make sure that all new developments that are going in are Energy Choice developments. This, again, I can get deeper into it. This is phase 1 of Energy Choice. Phase 2 is actually going back into existing developments and recapturing developments that we missed, but those take a lot more money and take a lot more time as far as the planning and getting, of course, homeowner associations and everything to agree to allow us to come back into the developments. But what we want to do is to propose a ordinance be passed that requires all new developments to have natural gas installed. This is not a new thing. The city of Leesburg has had the same ordinance in place since 2019. The villages have the same ordinances in place. We've passed 3 ordinances in Apopka, Winter Garden, Claremont, and we've got 4 pending ordinances right now within our service territory. We have 12 total franchises that we're trying to close the gap on. So really, our emphasis is trying to get an ordinance passed that requires natural gas to be installed. Again, I can go deeper into the finances and the dynamics of it, but really what it mounts up to is we are putting money into developers' pockets. A lot of the local developers are natural gas developers, but the developers from out of town, the ones who are from Texas, from Georgia, from North Carolina, South Carolina, those developers are going electric only purposefully because they get federal incentives for doing it. They take that federal money, they take it out of state, they take it away from our localities to do the things they need to do. So again, we see this as an opportunity to protect our local communities, to protect their financial well-being, and protect their overall quality of life. Again, like I said, we've had 3 of the ordinances passed in our territory. The thing that's unique that you'll see about the ordinances that we've been proposing is in the other municipalities that have passed those, Leesburg, the villages, where I worked before in Tennessee, I worked in Memphis, they actually require natural gas appliances actually go in the house. This is just requiring natural gas infrastructure to be installed in the development. It's still our job to convince you to choose natural gas. We're not trying to force it into somebody's home. We're not trying to impede upon someone without their knowledge. We feel like if the infrastructure is there, that most people are going to choose natural gas. It's the right thing to do. And of course, Tom and I were talking before, the amount of influx from people up north coming down to here, what we have is we actually run into more complaints because gas isn't available, because most people from up north, they don't live without gas. You don't live in New York or Colorado or Boston, Massachusetts without natural gas or fuel oil, because you'll freeze to death up there. So again, we've passed those ordinances, but really what we're trying to do is impress the need for choice in our communities. Choice is the most powerful tool that we have, whether it's in our elections, whether it's in choosing to do our business. But we feel that having choice taken away from people in our communities that are going to be long-term parts of our communities is not a good model for us. So thank y'all. I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Haywood. If you don't mind, perhaps some of the other board members will have questions for you.
Sure.
Robin, do you have any questions or comments?
Do you see a lot of number of existing houses that ask to go to gas that may be available existing currently in our area here in South Lake County?
So right now what we have is we have the numbers of houses that both have frontage on gas and have chosen not to go to gas, and we also have, I can pull those up in my computer, but there are about 7,700 homes or properties that don't have gas available. So we can break those down, but what we try to do is we try to incentivize anybody that has gas available in front of their house and to help them get gas. Again, I've only been with the district for a year, so we're working really, really diligently to do that effort to make sure that we feed what we call the phase 2 of Energy Choice, and that's where we're going to try to get existing homes that don't have gas available to extend into those areas as well. I think most of downtown Groveland, if I were to pull the map up, you'll see we blanket pretty much most of the downtown Groveland area. That's where the high concentration is, but now as the development's growing outside, that's where we're losing that customer.
All right, Lindsay? Okay, Alicia? Michael? Stephen?
I've seen a similar presentation before because I know Monica comes out and gives us some presentations with the chamber and she does a good job. But one of my questions with cost, what is covered by Apopka Gas on the infrastructure side? I'm guessing bringing it up into the development, and then what's the average cost per house for the builder to then add that infrastructure for then the choice to be there?
Yeah. So what we've had is each one of the cities has put their own little twist on the ordinance. Apopka, it's really up to a negotiation between us and the developer on how much the developer pays to get if let's just say it's a mile. We would do cost sharing, obviously, with that. In Winter Garden, it's the developer pays for anything from 100 foot outside the development plus inside the development. Claremont went with a 1,000-foot model, so the developer pays for everything inside the development plus a 1,000-foot extension outside. So everybody's putting their best twist on it. We feel like that the Winter Garden model actually came with the most. We had the most headbutting and gnashing of teeth to figure out what the best model was, but again, that would require the district to extend all the way up until 100 foot within the development to get to the development, and then they go within the development and 100 foot past the development. As far as cost goes, in a new development, it's anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 a lot, depending on lot width. Obviously, if it's a 50-foot lot, it's $1,000. You go up to a 75-foot lot, it may be $1,500. As far as the infrastructure, the gas main goes, running service up to a house, that's usually about another $1,000 with the construction and everything. But the cost changes drastically when you're talking about a new development versus an existing development. An existing development costs us around $3,000 a lot. It's almost 3 times the cost of a new development, and that's where when we're prevented from going into a new development, it's cost prohibitive for us to take and go into an existing development without some type of support mechanism. Right now, we've received multiple federal grants to replace pipelines, but the previous utility that I worked at in the Panhandle in Florida, we actually went to the state and got $6.5 million to extend infrastructure into previously unserved and underserved communities. So that's the plan for phase 2, is once we find out which communities have deemed themselves energy choice communities, we're going to use that to go and lobby the state, lobby the federal government to say, hey, inside our communities, we have these existing developments that don't have natural gas, and we hope to be able to supplement our capital investments with state and federal monies as well. So hopefully I can be as successful as I've been in the past. I think we can do it. But right now we've got a little over $3.5 million in replacement grants, and we're going to do the same thing here with these communities.
And this is more a question for our staff, but with our recent developments, has there been any of the developments that have proactively opted to add this, or no?
I'm not aware of it.
Not as far as, we still have developments that developers that do natural gas. I mean, we've got Pulte's a natural gas builder, KB, I think, Taylor Morrison. We have those traditional developers that are developing the natural gas. And, that's one of the misnomers that falls in with, you get a lot of the other developers like Lennar, D.R. Horton that are quote-unquote building entry-level homes. Well, what's the biggest impact to people? Is it the moderate income to high income families, or the lower income families that can't afford the energy costs? They build a nice home, get you in it, but then if you can't afford to live there because your energy costs are so high, I've got numbers out the wazoo, but the EIA published a report, the Energy Information Administration, the federal government entity that monitors energy cost and what impact it has, showed that 14% of fixed income families fall below the poverty level just because their energy costs are escalating so high so quickly. Well, you see, with a 60% loss, it escalates really, really fast whenever you're talking about that. So in the state of Florida, it's so much more so that we could have an impact on our energy costs, on low-income, fixed-income families by making sure that they have the most reliable, and cost-effective options available. And that's why, again, you go back in history, I'm a history buff, you go back in history, go back to the 1800s whenever water systems were being developed, whenever sewer systems were being developed in the 50s. Those things were being developed because they were for the good of the communities. They were to impact health and safety, right? Well, now our energy costs are a big impact in our health, safety, and well-being, and that's really why we're pushing so hard. So, any more questions? I love this. You guys will learn when you're around me. I can talk energy all day, and that's the thing. I'm the natural gas guy, but I'm in the energy business. I work for the largest energy utilities in the nation. I work for the largest wind utility in the nation, the fourth largest solar utility in the nation. Covered 8 states. Again, I know the way that the infrastructure works, and again, I wouldn't be sitting here telling you if I was trying to sell you on something other than what's the right thing for our communities. I live in this community. I actually live in Claremont, but my wife and I like to come out here and patronize the restaurants and stuff. So,
Awesome. Thank you. That's all my questions.
Okay. Carrie?
My question is, the ordinance that you're proposing, what about for existing communities that, like you said, that doesn't have it? Will this ordinance you're proposing give existing community residents the option to, say, have it implemented in their community? Do they need to go, like in my community, there's a HOA. So do we need to propose that to the HOA to let all the houses know about this option? Is that part of your proposal?
yes, ma'am. So it's not a part of the proposal for this ordinance, for the ordinance that we're proposing, because that's just for new developments. But our Energy Choice Initiative doesn't start. That's just the beginning. That's the low-hanging fruit, right? The hard part is what's in the middle, the existing developments. We have some developments now that we go to we've had some that came to us and said we want natural gas to go in. We're willing to pay for it because, again, you have to wait on our capital improvement budget to say, okay, well, this is the right location, the right place for us to expand into the development. And that's the hard part is we have a limited budget, as everybody does. You all are dealing with budget issues as well with your growth. But that's where the grants come in, is our ability to go to the state and to the federal government to be able to get additional grants. But so let's back to your question. Going into existing developments, what we would do is we would come to your HOA, give you a proposal if you wanted to push it ahead of schedule, right, with anything. If it was in our schedule that we were going to do it in 5 years and you wanted to push it up, then you would have some cost sharings to that because it's not really in our plan to do it at that point in time. But what we do is we try to make it as economical as possible. Again, we've done developments in the past year where we did exactly that. And then we turn around for the actual home buyer, we have incentives associated to whichever appliances you put in. If you put in a water heater, a range, a dryer, everybody, if you don't know the beauty of a gas dryer, if you're raising a family, my wife will tell you the gas dryer is the magic thing, right? If I can dry clothes faster than I can wash them, that makes her life easier, and Shana Haywood needs her life to be easy. Again, whatever appliances you put in, we dictate what those incentives are, and then a lot of times those incentives actually exceed the cost of the service going into the house, and then we put that back towards the main extension. So we're trying our best to make sure it's cost effective and doing what we're doing. But we actually, I've got my new system engineers here, the same as you all plan out developments, what your density, what your growth is. We're actually effectively planning out our growth model and how we're going to grow into existing developments, not just new developments, developments. That right there is things that we've done for 65 years, but going to existing developments we're missing, there's a sweet spot on when you do that and how you do that. Because if we go in there and it's a year old, well, nobody's going to go into a development that they just bought a house a year ago and change out all their appliances, retrofit it. We catch it at about the 10-year to 12-year time frame where appliances are getting to the point where they're potentially ready to be changed out. So there's strategy to it, and we try to be really smart about what we're doing.
My second question is there any federal grants or any grants for existing communities? Like if we have a meeting in our HOA about this and we can apply for grants, like whether through HUD or USDA or something, because Groveland is considered a rural development area. Is there any specific rural development grants that you know that communities can get? Like there's a community block grant type of program I know of.
Community development block grant?
Yeah,
CDBG?
and they have for I know they have in different counties, like they had in Polk County and stuff like that. Is there something like that specific grant that for a community can get?
So the grants that we have been involved in have been grants for accelerated replacement of older pipelines that are problems. I do know that there are some grants out there that are tied more to commercial development and growing jobs and business. I do expect with the current federal administration there to be some more grants associated to energy, because right now you hear about the AI boom and how that's going to be the next golden era for the United States. Well, people have to understand AI is such a huge energy hog, right? If you search on your phone and you do a normal search on your phone, and then you turn around and do the same search for the same information using AI, it takes 10 times the energy to do that. So that's why you hear all these AI data centers that are coming in. They're actually building their own generating plants to the AI centers. One of the data centers that went in South Florida not long ago, they put natural gas generation on site to be able to generate the electricity. So there are things like that are going on, but I think that it's going to trickle back into the residential side. But it's really going to take what I feel is going to take communities like this to say, yes, we are natural gas communities. We are energy choice communities. We should have the choice of having natural gas available to everybody. And that's how the momentum gets built for these grants. That's how we got state grants, right? And state grants, if state can recognize it, there's no reason why that federal government can't recognize it. So, we're always going to be lobbying for that. But right now, the ones that I do know of are replacement and some for large commercial development. So like the Commerce Park, that Ford Commerce Park, we're actually going to be working on trying to get a grant to be able to close out the infrastructure in there. I've been working with Kathleen Dial talking about what we can do to make sure natural gas is in that development. So we've been putting it in our models, putting it in our mode, and then we're going to be putting forth a federal grant application for that in the future as well. So the answer is not that I know of, but if you all are already putting in for some grants, there's no reason why we can't join in as a rider and potentially work together on that. Yeah. And so I've been working with grant writers. We've been engaging other grant writing agencies to help us with that stuff. So we're open to working with you and working with cities on anything we can do to help out. I know one of the things we missed out on was with your emergency center. We don't have a natural gas backup generator there, but I'd like to get the point where we get a conversion there, because there's no more reliable energy than natural gas. I could go into that for you all day long.
And my last question is about the infrastructure, the pipeline. Are you expanding the major pipeline? Like, is it coming from up north down, like say down 95 underground, like the infrastructure to expand? How are you doing
You're
that?
in my sweet spot because I'm an engineer. I love talking infrastructure. So but I won't go too far. We actually are working on our what we call our outer loop to bring more. Right now, all of our gas flows from east to west. We actually recently bid out what we call our asset management agreement, which is the company that manages our gas supply and our contracts and everything. We're selecting a new asset manager because they're key in helping us negotiate with the pipelines for new connections. But right now, we've got 3 locations that we've got on the books for additional connections and supply that makes the gas come from west to east instead of east to west. So we're making sure that we're going to have a system that's built and robust enough to hold all of the development that we've got. So we've got pipelines planned, again, in the model, with everything. We've got pipelines planned coming up 33, coming up 27 from down south. We've also got additional pipelines that are coming around. We've got a station up at Kelly Park, which is in North Apopka, which we're going to be bringing a pipeline around from the north side. That way we create an outer loop system, and it's our shell of protection for us to be able to make sure that we have that reliable gas supply that you're talking
About
about.
the turnpike? You don't have a pipeline coming,
So there's no pipeline specifically going down the turnpike. The pipelines are actually west of Mascot. They kind of clip our southwestern boundary, and then the other pipeline is actually on the east side, which is in West Orange County. So we're the connector in between those, but we currently don't have connections on that western pipeline, but we're actually in negotiations with that. I've got bids for connections, and we're working on that stuff. So that's the kind of stuff that we've got to work into our whole model and doing things we need to do. We want to grow as aggressively as possible, but I've got to make sure that I have supply as well. I don't want to get in a pinch to where I say, okay, we're going to serve the 20,000 homes out here in Groveland. Next thing you know, it's costing us twice as much money to get the gas here. So, we're playing the game out, 20 years, and that's my job. That's why they brought me in. I'm a planning engineer. I'm looking out 20, 30, 40 years in the future so we don't have infrastructure problems.
And are you implementing contingency plans for the fact that we're a hurricane state, so that, the pipelines don't get damaged due to?
So natural gas, again, when I say it's the most reliable, I'm not saying that. I say it because it's a reality. If you'll get to know me hopefully at some point in time at the chamber meetings and stuff, is I chose to be in natural gas because about 18 years ago, when I worked for Memphis Light Gas and Water, they're actually in the New Madrid fault zone, okay? So you have the same threats. You have hurricanes, and they actually have earthquake risk. We did an extensive 2-year study on what is the highest risk to our system whenever we have major things like tornadoes, earthquakes, things like that. And when I came back after being part of those studies, and it said, well, natural gas is going to be the only thing left, right? Kind of made me say, well, I want to go with the best, right? I want to be part of the best. So I actually moved over to the gas division and became part of the gas division. So how does that apply to us here in our area? The last hurricanes we've had, the last hurricane we had one outage. And that outage was the washout in front of the Dunkin' Donuts out there on Highway 50. There was a washout associated with that. We didn't lose service, but because of the washout, we had to cut gas service where they could make the repairs. We don't lose customers. Usually it's a tree falling down and tearing the gas line out of the ground. We actually, when Hurricane Michael came through, I think it was Michael, the town of Chipley, it was the first time they lost gas supply. When we got in there, what happened was the transmission company actually cut the gas off, but they really only lost 2 customers. They had 2 oak trees that went down that tore their gas lines up. So all we had to do was purge the gas lines out, put gas back on the system, but the problem was they couldn't get a hold of somebody in the middle of the night. Well, you don't have that problem with us, but again, it's the most reliable. That's why the power companies, when they build their facilities, they put in natural gas backup generators. Right? They need to have their power on so they can restore power to the 300 or 400,000 customers they lose when every storm comes around. They put in natural gas generation. All hospitals, nursing homes, there's a state law that mandates you have to have backup power, and most of those, 90% of those, they go with natural gas for their backup power.
Well, I just want to say I hope it does come to my community. My community is an existing community that doesn't have that option. And when I used to live up north, I had gas heat, gas for cooking, my stove, so I'm for natural gas.
It's a different lifestyle, is it not? And like I said, my wife, that's one of the main things. She even though I'm a gas guy, she says whenever we move, we've got to make sure we have gas. But not only gas, I've got to have gas to her dryer. So the house we bought, the previous house in the Panhandle, I had to have the house retrofitted to have gas run so she could have her natural gas dryer. So
Yeah, thank you.
yes, thank you.
Well, it sounds like if you need a proof of concept here in Groveland, Carrie's volunteering her house for that.
Hey, yeah, make sure we know. Like I said, I've got my team here. That's our job, is to plan it out at the right time, so.
Yeah. Well, I think it's exciting. I think there were quite a few questions about cost. I think that's a real thing, you know. Just to build a 1,500 square foot home in Groveland right now, you're looking at about $30,000 just in impact fees. So to add another 3 just to add another requirement to get another source of energy to the house, you know, we really need to start looking at all these costs that we're legislating are really going up. So not to discourage you, but they're climbing. So I'm curious how the cost sharing works. Like, where are the funds coming from for cost sharing on your side, as opposed to the developer? Is that also coming from grants?
So what we do is all the revenue we take in a year, we turn that revenue back in to infrastructure, to incentives, and really it's to infrastructure when it all comes down. So what we've done is, instead of having a model like our previous model was, we incentivize the developers to put natural gas in. Well, what we're wanting to do, what we're doing is in these developments where the developer puts the natural gas backbone in, that we're incentivizing the home builder to put natural gas in for the benefit of the home buyers. So when you come down to that $3,000, we've studied it extensively in our area, and so the National Realtor Association says natural gas, the impact of natural gas on a home valuation is between 6 and 12% increased value in the home. We studied our service territory, and the impact is actually about 8% increased value. So when you're talking about a $300,000 home, that's $24,000 increased value on the home. So when we're asking a developer to pay maybe $2,000 or $3,000, and yeah, they get to increase the value of the home for that $2,000 or $3,000, it's still a major increase in value to the actual homeowner. And so that's why we want to incentivize home builders and homeowners to put in as much appliances as possible, because we give them that allowance towards their construction costs, but we also will give them incentives towards the building and everything as well. So if they put in 4 or 5 appliances, they actually will get money back from the district from their incentives. We don't use the term rebate. It's just a growth incentive, because we know that if you put the gas appliances in, they're going to be there longer, they're going to be more efficient, more cost effective. So we give you actually the revenue that we would make off of you, we give you 7 years of that revenue back, because we don't really have any inherent cost or maintenance cost to that. So that's kind of what our structure is. We give you the revenue towards that additional cost up front, and we're trying to give it to the home builders, and in the case where there's an existing homeowner, we would give that back to the existing homeowner instead of giving it to developers to take outside of our communities. Because if we give it to the homeowners, it's going to spool its way back into our communities. And so when I say that $127 million in our service territory that's lost, that's $127 million that's going outside of our communities. None of the power companies, I think Seco's the only one who's actually here local, but I mean, you know, Duke, they're taking the money back outside. I mean, they're not putting it directly back in our communities, and that's where we're different. We're not publicly traded. We're here. We're a state entity that puts all of our money back into the communities.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I appreciate the response, and you know, I want to say I appreciate Carrie's drilling down heavily on the existing communities, because to your point, energy costs are high. You know, I've talked to many people in the last few years who say, if I were to buy my house today, I could not afford it. After everything that happened with COVID, right? House prices went wild. And so many of my neighbors could not afford to purchase the house they're living in right now that they purchased 5 years ago, right? And so those existing communities do need that help.
Right.
And it's neat that we're talking about giving the choice and putting it in new developments. However, the people that need those savings are not out buying new homes right now. So not that we're, doing this incorrectly or anything, to your point. We got to plan in the future, and so we got to start somewhere. But that's just where my head's at on that. And then I'm curious if you could just clarify, when you talk about, people say developer, and that's like the big bad, word sometimes. Can you define what you mean by developer and development? Because, let me rephrase, what are we talking about a threshold here? Where we're going to do this ordinance, and there's got to be a minimum of 50 homes in order for this ordinance to go into effect? Are we talking 100 homes? Are we talking 150 homes? What is that threshold that you're eyeing?
Each ordinance we've passed, they've got their own sweet spot, right? We've got a couple of them that passed it with a 10-home requirement because they don't have a lot of big land left to do big developments. But then like Claremont, they put a 20-home minimum on it. So they started there, but it really comes down to what you want to do. Really, we're just fulfilling what you want us to do, and as far as that ordinance goes. So if you say that it's 100 homes or 200 homes, again, that's really up to the structure that you want to put into it. If you want to say, okay, well, we're not extending, no extensions, just internal, then we have to figure out, and again, that's where Winter Garden is good, because between us and Winter Garden's planning department, we meet as part of the planning group, and when they approve the development, that's one of the things that's understood on who's going to bear the cost. Is gas going to be required, not going to be required? If we can't get it there cost effectively, then again, we would have to say that, it was not a requirement at that point in time. There are ins and outs, and it's really how you want to structure it, because we would just come in and provide service based on what you say you want, what's good for your community. We want you to choose based on your community.
It sounds like it's great. We just need to make sure it's cost effective, right? We don't want to price people out of living here, right? Okay, I don't have any other questions.
I do.
A follow-up?
Yes, please. You were mentioning that there's grants and incentives for builders and developers, but if there's still a balance left over, is that money then put on the burden of the homeowner to cover that cost? In your experience, have you seen that?
So if there's something above, then it goes back to the homeowner. Normally, getting gas service from the street to the house, if you're putting in 1 to 2 appliances, usually one appliance will cover that cost. The way they're structured right now, if you put in 3 appliances, more than likely, unless something weird is going on, we had to do a bore, or we had to work around something weird would happen, you would be getting some type of incentive back. Because what I want is like the existing homes, like your home. If we go into the existing home and you have to pay a plumber $1,500 or $2,000 or $3,000 to do the plumbing and the piping, we want to make sure that any revenue that we got, that was excess revenue that comes from you, really goes back to you. And so what we're almost doing is helping you finance that construction cost. So, because our normal construction cost is pretty well fixed. It cost us right about $1,000 to $1,200 to get it from the street to the home. But again, it just depends on how long it is. That right there is if it were a 100-foot service. But if you're talking about a 60-foot service, then it's a lot less expensive. It may be a $600 service, and then if you put the same appliances in, you'll turn around and get maybe a $600 incentive check instead of a $200 incentive check to go back toward your house. So all the scenarios are unique. What we've done is we've taken out kind of that fixed average cost thing, so we calculate every one of them based on exactly what appliances you're putting in, how many you're putting in, the length of service. So it will be a unique quoted item, you'll know what your incentives are going to be, you'll know how much it's going to cost on the front end. And this team that's been here with me tonight, we've been thrashing at that, you know, continuously to build that structure where we can do that. We want to give you a real-time cost, a real-time quote, and also show you that we're giving you back your own money when it's all said and done. It's like I said, it's almost a financing.
Yeah, thank you. I just know that on average, home prices have been going up, and so when you add that extra on, like to Zach's point, you could price somebody out of a home just by, you know, that factor alone.
So the funny thing about that part of it is, and that's not to take any more time, is the homes that are being built today in Leesburg requires natural gas to be installed. They require at least 2 natural gas appliances to be installed, a water heater and an oven or a dryer. And those housing costs aren't higher than the housing costs we're getting here. Again, I don't like to put it in a position of vilifying anybody, but there's a game that has been played that they're getting away with because they're still charging you the same for the house because people aren't sensitive to the fact that upfront cost is there, but then the residual value of the home, whenever you turn around and sell it, you're losing that 8% increased value. And so the developers haven't, to this point, what we've looked at our research, haven't been giving like big discounts, right? I mean, they're not giving you that discounted cost. And they'll turn around and they'll go, oh, it's going to cost us $5,000 more to put that in the house. But it's already built in. I had the same thing happen in the Panhandle where I had the same developer say, we don't put gas in any one of these houses. These models don't get gas. And I said, well, that's not true because you put them in Texas, where Texas requires you to put them in. You put it in Colorado where I work. You put it in Tennessee where I work. You put it in everywhere where I work. You put it in this model. And I would pull the layout of the house and show them. So tell me why you're not putting these houses. Well, because we don't have to. Because we don't have to. Well, that's not a good answer. You don't have to give people the option to have that available to them, and it's not the right thing for our communities. But again, you go to the villages, you go to Leesburg where it's already an ordinance, they're not paying $15,000 and $20,000 higher for those houses up there than what they're paying right here. They're the same houses and the same model. So I don't see that there's going to be a huge increase as far as that. But again, we try to incentivize it back to where there's any increased cost that we're balancing it out with our local people, not people outside. So.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Hayward. You've proven yourself able to hold up to much questioning, so we appreciate your time.
Well, when you love what you do and you believe in it, like you wouldn't be putting your time in here if you didn't love this community and believe in what you're doing and the benefit of it. That it makes it easy. And again, my team knows me. I wouldn't be standing here talking to you if I didn't know for the state of Florida 100% it was the right thing, right? I grew up in Tennessee where we have a lot of hydroelectric generation. I wouldn't sit here and tell you that natural gas is actually the better option because hydroelectric is almost a free generation for TVA, right? And so there's a different balance, but the state of Florida is different in the fact that, again, we're spending it for natural gas anyways. It's just whether you want to throw that 60 cents away. And I can't live in a place where I don't at least try to make things better. So I appreciate y'all's time.
Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to new business. Business item number 1 is the recommendation of approval of ordinance 2025-2. Maria, would you please read the ordinance?
Yes. This is ordinance 2025-2, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Groveland, Florida, vacating a portion of Lake Avenue shown on the plat of Taylorville as recorded in Plat Book 2, page 7 of the Public Records of Lake County, Florida, located between Lot 2, Block 42, and Lot 7, Block 41 of the plat of Taylorville, vesting for title, providing for severability, providing for conflicts and scrivener errors, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Mr. Jones?
Good afternoon, planning and zoning board members. Let me get the PowerPoint ready. 1 second. So this new business item is 133 Felt Street right-of-way vacation. The applicant is Yorktown Law, PA. The existing future land use is established neighborhood. The existing zoning is low-density residential. They're requesting a vacation of an existing 60 feet right-of-way, and it's located at 133 Phelps Street, which is at the northwest intersection of Phelps Street and Main Avenue, or Main Street. The property is .58 plus minus acres. So the applicant is requesting to vacate an existing right-of-way. This is a 60-foot wide right-of-way, platted right-of-way that's been there for decades. The existing right-of-way won't be interfering with any of the existing road connectivity off of Phelps Street, nor the surrounding local streets nearby. The applicant is concurrently submitting a lot split application to create 2 new lots on the parcel, and they plan on developing a duplex on each parcel, and that will have to meet our Florida vernacular requirements since it's located in the CRA area. And this is the lot split survey showing the creation of the 2 lots. As you can see, lot 1 on the left and then lot 2 is on the right. So at this time, staff is asking for approval of ordinance 2025-133 Phelps Street, right-of-way vacation. We also have the applicant here as well, if you have any questions for her.
Okay, do I have a motion for approval of ordinance 2025-2?
Shouldn't we have a discussion first?
We're supposed to have a motion first.
Oh, okay.
Your first motion.
Thank you. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second motion.
Thank you. We have a motion. The applicant may make a comment if they wish.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Good evening, I proceed. Nancy Campilia, your attorney will. I'm here on behalf of the owner of the lot, who is the petitioner, and as your staff has confirmed, there are no connectivity interferences. It would be, there is no issue that affects public use, and therefore we ask that you adopt the staff recommendation and approve the vacation of this road. Happy to address any questions.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions for the applicant?
Yeah.
Okay, Lindsay.
What size is the lot 1? I know they're splitting it into 2, so how big is that? I mean, I can see it, but it looks like a really small parcel, but it's going to be a multifamily, you think, on it?
It's going to be 2 duplexes.
Okay, all right. That's not my only question. I just couldn't, it looks really small, but, you know, I'm, that's possession.
Straight zoning, so the minimum lot size for the single-family residential is 60 feet.
Right, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it.
Any other questions for the applicant? Carrie, will go first.
You said you're going to build 2 duplexes. Like, is it going to be for like how many exactly? Like, is it like the one down Villa City they have on the right, duplexes? Is it going to be similar to that where 4 people is in that one area? Like, how many people can accommodate the duplex? Like, that's what I'm saying, family-wise.
Are you asking dwelling unit count?
Yeah,
Okay.
basically.
Is it 2 units or 4, I think is the question, right? Is it 2 buildings with 2 units in each, or is it one?
Yeah, the breakdown.
Normally for duplexes, there'll be 2 units. So that lot 1 will have
Yeah.
a duplex on that parcel, lot 2 will have a duplex on that parcel. So if you want to add both of them together, it'll be 4 units all together.
Okay.
2 on each parcel.
Okay.
They do have an option to do a triplex. That is allowed as well in the, for the zoning, or the applicant plans on doing a duplex on it.
Okay, thank you.
Robin?
I just noticed on the planning and zoning application that currently exists on the site is only water, but proposed to be used is also only water. Is there no sewer proposed to be used on either of these duplexes? Or is that just a box that was not checked?
I can't answer for the applicant.
Right.
And I'm sorry, I cannot answer that question. Prepare for the vacation of the street, and I'm not handling the actual development of the improvements.
No worries, I thought I'd ask, but
It should be connected to sewer. This isn't, we're not at the building permit phase yet, but
I just saw that and I thought, well, that's odd. So I thought I'd bring it up today. But I have no other questions. Thanks, Zach.
So looking at these two, where is the current easement? Is that what the darkest line in the middle currently is?
Go to the previous screen, it's highlighted in green. So that's an existing easement that actually goes all the way through the neighborhood, and it goes all the way through Lake David and all this whole area. It's just old platted right-of-way that's been there since, what, 1920, or
1911 was part of the original Taylorville plat. And there's a lot of, we get this question a lot in terms of right-of-way vacates in the downtown area. In most cases, I prefer to keep them where it gives the potential to have potential alleys in some of the areas where they're going to redevelop and densify over time. We want that rear kind of facing product with alleys. In this situation, we really didn't see that as an option. So this is a rare occasion where I'd be okay with the right-of-way vacate.
If I remember correctly, there was a home on top of this right-of-way previously. Is that not right? It is a historic home from the 20s or 30s? Is that correct?
That's correct.
There was a home built previously. I'm not sure when it was built, but most likely around that time.
Okay.
There are a lot of, quite old. If you go in downtown, you'll see fences and sheds and a lot of obstacles to where if someone had wanted to redevelop, those fences or whatever they are legally encroaching technically into the right-of-way, but there's so many cases that we'll have to address that at some point.
Yeah, okay. I believe that's all we have for the applicant. Thank you. Thank you. At this time, we'll open up to public comment on this ordinance and this ordinance only. Do we have any comment?
Marty Proctor, 18225 Rose Street, Groveland, Florida. I'm still not clear on how this falls. Is the ROW, the right-of-way, the edge? Is that the if you will, western edge of the property after it's combined?
So right now, it's not showing it split. It's one parcel. So
Right.
If they were to do a split right now, it would be on both parcels.
So it would be down that center line, more or less. Okay, so it splits into both. So infill is a beautiful thing. It's a good idea. Great question on the city sewer. This property has got a value. It has a value to the city as the opportunity for more housing, but it also has a value to the city because it's a piece of property that the city owns or controls. I read the agenda item twice. I didn't see any indication of remuneration from the property owner to the city for the split and the vacation of the right-of-way. And this is clearly providing, if I understand the property outlines, it's fundamentally enabling this construction, which I'm very comfortable is going to be done in a for-profit manner. It's not likely it's going to be done as a charitable activity. And in order for the city to get fair value for a fairly substantial more than a half acre of land in the city that is very close to where the realignment of 50 will be, which none of us can really anticipate the impact of that to the value of the properties in this area. To planning's point, having the option of having it as a right-of-way does give the city more options in the event that something were to change for the right-of-way. I just don't understand, I'm engaged in other boards typically when there's a right-of-way vacated and property changes hands, the first thing that happens is that the grantee covers all expenses and costs. I don't know that hasn't been done. There's typically surveys involved, there's documentation fees, there's title fees. Secondly, again, there's a value to a half acre of land .58 acre of land in Groveland, and it just seems to me that the city should be asking for remuneration for yielding that .58 acre to anybody, even if they wanted to do something incredibly charitable like build another release center. So just, again, I read the item twice. I did not see anything. I see it's got an assessed value, but I did not see where there was any remuneration that the city was going to receive for yielding this property.
Thank you. Do you have any other public comment?
I'm Lisa Lissard. I'm actually will be the owner of 128 West Phelps Street. It is my mother's house. And I'm actually also representing some of the other people on the street because they cannot be here due to work. We are concerned about, I did hear a triplex. We're already adding, if it's going to be 4 homes, figure 2 cars per home. We're already at, Phelps Street is being used as a cut-through from 19 to get over to 50 or 33. It is also been creating a lot of traffic on Crittenden and also on North Main Avenue back there. And it's not only just Phelps, all the neighborhoods right back in there, back by the cemetery, are all getting a ton of traffic. What we're concerned about is adding additional traffic and onto an already extremely busy road. And not only that, it is within 2 miles of Gray Middle School, so there are kids walking, especially during peak rush hour time. So that's other things that we would like to know. And then I also do agree with the gentleman that I believe the city, if you are going to do the right-of-way back, the city should be getting some type of, money back from that. And, look at doing something with the streets. That street has tons of potholes. And we've actually just had recently, probably about 6 weeks ago, there was an accident on both ends. An accident at North Main and Phelps, and at 19 in Phelps. That's other things that I want to bring to your attention. I know once the bypass goes through, that will cut down, there'll be no traffic because you won't be able to get across unless you go across the bypass at 19 because there'll be no traffic light. But until then, we're looking, 5 years until it's completely done? So it's all things that we, as residents who live there, would like you to think about too. Because certain times of the day, we can't pull into our driveway. I have to back into my mom's house. It took me 10 minutes to get from 128 West Phelps, which is directly across from this property, to my house on Main, at the corner of Main and Waldo. It should only take 5 minutes for me to get across, if that, if I have to sit for traffic lights. So I saw there, want to just make you aware, there's a neighborhood, kids, there's just a ton of traffic. We're already adding, if it's going to be 4 homes, two cars per home, you're adding on a lot of traffic. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I just wanted to add, because the value of the property came up, in our last fee schedule update, we included for vacation of street or lot, sorry, I'm going to
Make sure this is on. Can you hear me now?
We got you now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just want to make sure everyone was aware in our last fee schedule update, we did include for vacation of street or lot, $2,500 plus the appraised value of the property. So I'm not sure if that's been conveyed to the applicant, but I just want to make sure everyone was aware that we have that in the fee schedule. It wasn't there before. I don't believe we've had any right-of-way vacate cases since this was updated in the fee schedule, but just want to bring that to your attention.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other public comment? Okay, public comment is now closed. Maria, will you please take the vote?
I have a question.
Yes.
Has, and this might be for the applicant, have they met with the neighbors about the situation? And I don't know if I can ask that, or...
So as far as staff is concerned, with right-of-way vacations, we have to meet the statute requirements for advertising. So they were aware that there was going to be a public hearing process. However, had they had personal conversations, I'm not sure that's...
No, sir, we have not met with the neighbors. This appears to be a very straightforward vacation. There are no connectivity interferences, as your staff has confirmed. This is the first time we hear that there are any objections, and we certainly pay every fee that was asked of us.
And one of the things that was brought up, and I know that would probably be for the next stage, but is there ability to put limits on what the applicant is currently saying, which is duplexes and not triplexes, or does that change? Will that come up later?
Because it has an existing zoning, and so they're allowed to do what their existing zoning is.
Gotcha.
Okay, any other final board comments? Okay. Maria, will you please take the vote?
Vice Chair Robin Hoover, how do you vote? Aye. Board Member Carrie Lambert, how do you vote? Aye. Board Member Stephen Shapkowski, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Alicia Garcia, how do you vote? Aye. Board Member Lindsey Crum, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Mike Archer, how do you vote?
Aye.
All ayes. Oh, Chair. Zach Decker, how do you
Yes,
vote?
aye, thank you.
All ayes.
Thank you, Maria. All right, that concludes our new business. Moving to closing comments, do we have any comments from the public? On any item?
Any item.
Yeah, preferably related to the business that we conduct here, yes. Yeah. And please state your name and address for the record. Yes, please.
Alan Joyce, 17250 Heavens View Way, and I'm here to just make you aware of something that will be coming to the Planning and Zoning Board, and that is the Palisades HOA request to take this building, about an acre of their 200-plus acres of green space, and get it rezoned, or take the PUD and pull this out of the PUD and sell it to supposedly a resident that lives in Palisades. They're going to try to convert it, I guess, to an office or some sort of commercial. I live across the street from this location, and Palisades has had us look at this for the last 4 years that they've owned it. They've done absolutely zero with it. And they're saying that, oh, in the future, it'll look nice when we sell it. It'll be great for you guys. Groveland will enforce landscaping and everything, and everybody will be happy. No, it won't. Our experience at that intersection has not been happy with Groveland enforcing rules and regulations. And I'm hoping that when this comes to the board, you can consider just having Palisades, keep it as green space. It's 1 acre. They want to turn it to office or commercial. There's not any office or commercial within 2 miles of this location. This is all residential. Palisades could have paid $48 per homeowner to just tear this building down. I thought it was $67. I got to correct it. After the meeting we had with Palisades, I got a hold of their minutes, and their minutes had 2 bids in it. One was for $24,900. Divided by 522 homeowners is $48 a homeowner. And they could have turned this into green space. But they think it's a great idea because they don't ever have to look at this location. Never. It's on their backside. So I would plead with your board to please consider not allowing them to do that. And if that fails, then something you could consider is Palisades has a 40-foot easement from this building to their street inside. And they could put a driveway, and they could keep it in Palisades. And then Palisades could look at it, and they could deal with it. And then just put up a privacy hedge to block it, so we don't have to ever look at something again in the future that Palisades does for us. That's what I'm hoping you could do. One, just tell them, you know, guys, keep this place residential.
$48 a homeowner, how bad is that? A one-time fee, $48. And if not, then put it so that you guys can access it from within your community and put a privacy hedge so that we don't have to look at it. Thank you.
Thank you. If you just want to leave them on the table there, we'll collect them. Thank you. Thank you. Many of us are familiar with that building. Do we have any other public comment?
Hello again, Marty Proctor, 18225 Rose Street, Groveland, Florida. Had the luxury of sitting in one of these chairs for a period of time, and so I can appreciate what you're going through. Some of you are new, and I would like to share a document that I created that's been sent to the city, and I'm going to leave a copy with the secretary and ask that she include it in the minutes. I'm not going to read the whole thing, I'm just going to cover the bases. Every development that came to us, no matter how large or how small it was, there was a series of questions that I made sure that we asked extremely early in the process. The reason being is that the developers need to understand where your heads are at, where my head was at, and where my head still is, that we expect better from our developers. Good enough is not good enough. Legal is not enough. We want right. We want better. That's what we want here in Groveland. We don't want just okay, and we don't want just legal. To that end, I asked 100% of developers, trail. Are you creating access to or across or through the development of trails? It's the number one amenity for homeowners, young homeowners especially, in Florida. Trail connectivity benefits both future and current residents. Even if there's not a trail there now, there's master plans, there are trails coming through here that will connect with many developments. It's a benefit to the developer in reality. School bus safety. Provide a safe waiting site, boarding site, or other access to a nearby school bus boarding site. It's not up to you, it's not up to the city, it's up to the school board. But if the developer stops and thinks about it at the very early stages, they can make accommodations in their road layout to allow for the requirements of the school board. Instead of you getting to the end of the process and you end up with what you have at Brighton, where you have children standing at the end of the road 20 feet from SR 19 with semis going by. I have the picture. It's my favorite picture to share. School buses and amenity for future residents. Road enhancement timing. Do not allow developers to come in and build, especially significant developments, without paying their share. If you require them to have adjacent turn lanes and other roadway enhancements, they will enhance the development. They will provide easier access in and out, especially on SR 19 and 50 and 27. These are and Villa City and all the others. These are roads that are outside of your control as a city. Getting the developer to do it and put it in the timeline that they must do that before they can have vertical permits. That's why we have a stoplight at Lake Emma Road. That's why we can get in and out of Lake Emma Road, because that improves quality of life for future and current residents. That was done at the developer's expense. DOT has a 40-year plan to get on to the 5-year plan to get to the most important projects, list of priority projects for next year. That's a long process. You don't want to wait that long, get the developers to do it. Same thing with amenity timing. Developers come in, they build one phase at a time, they finish, houses don't sell, 2009 happens, they close, they pull up their LLCs and they move away and they never build the amenities. It's happened in a lot of communities. Don't let it happen anymore. Require them to build the amenities first. Time it that way. Enhanced buffers. The city has a beautiful job, does a beautiful job of requiring buffers, spacing, setbacks on the properties, but that doesn't mean it's enough. Ask the developers for more. You're not mandating it. You can't tell them what to do, but you can ask them. Because again, better buffers with elevation changes, with enhanced landscaping, prevents us as existing residents from having to look at that when it's under construction, and it also provides privacy for the future residents. It's a benefit for both future and current residents. And the developers often will understand it, but they will do the absolute minimum that's legal. Sunset clause. And I realize that developments following Groveland's rules today do not require, it's not a PUD. There are no PUDs anymore in theory. But a sunset clause is a requirement where a developer comes in and within a period of time, X, 3 years, 2 years, 5 years, they must commence with construction. There are, is it still 25,000 homes?
Or less.
Call it 20,000 homes hanging out there from ghost PUDs and ghost development agreements that were done long before any of us even was engaged. I've been doing this since 2017. The developments are 2005, 2003. I read one 1999 yesterday. Don't let these just hang out there and be open-ended forever. Put an end date on it, even though I appreciate that it's not a necessity. Still do it, request it from your developers. And then finally, this is my favorite point, dark sky lighting. We have a dark sky lighting ordinance in this community. It is, I believe, the best in the entire eastern United States, probably certainly the southeast, and definitely Florida. It is a phenomenal ordinance. They did a great job. However, our Board of County Commissioners, our City Council has an election cycle every 2 years. So that means that in 2 years, one this year and one next year, you have 5 completely different people sitting in those seats. Those people may not have the same values that you and I do. They may be all developers. They may be all people who want to minimize the cost and don't care about our quality of life and whether we can see the stars and whether our plants and animals will be impacted by the sky glow. It's important that we have this put into the development agreements. That way the builder, even if the rules change, and the same thing with the sunset clause, even if the rules get changed, because the city council can change the rules, just like we fixed them already once. So be aware of those things. I'm going to leave this. I'm going to ask you if you can put this in the minutes. And again, I'm grateful for your patience. I worked a long time to get this developed, and I did not let a developer go through without having their feet held to the fire for those issues. So thank you very much, and thanks for doing what you're doing. It's really cool. Hope you like it.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comment? Seeing none, we will move to board member comment. Do we have any reports from board members? Okay.
I just had a question for staff. I seen, because some of us went up to Tallahassee with Groveland, and I seen SB 1080 passed today that has some things to do with planning and zoning. It hasn't been signed by the governor, but if it does, what's the process for the city? Do we meet with the attorney and then come up with things that are changing with how we do certain things, and are those things presented to planning and zoning and the council, or how does that typically work?
Stephen, there's a lot of state bills going on right now. Refresh my memory, please, because there's several coming from the state that would have dramatic impacts.
Yeah, this one, they reduced a lot of the impacts, but what currently passed would place new limitations on zoning restrictions imposed by local governments. The language introduces changes to impact fee rules, and then it also does, it streamlines comprehensive plan amendment processes, closes loopholes on extra student mitigation fees, and defines extraordinary impact fee language and processes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the technically proficient response to that, Stephen, is we'll have to review with Anita and get her legal advice on it. And Usually, there's some occasions where we could find workarounds and get creative and make sure that we're looking after, our residents' best interest. That's always our goal. In some situations, though, there's enough in the statute that truly prohibits us to do certain things. I'll say, if you're not following what's going on at the state level, there's a big interest to, bolster housing, bolster development, increase it, and a lot of concerns on affordability. I think the home builders are doing a lot of lobbying at the state level. So a lot of connection there, and the state is seeing local governments is getting in the way of affordability and getting more housing here in the state. That conflicts with a lot of perspectives here, certainly locally. We want to make sure that we're doing our best to service future residents if they're coming in. So we want to be thoughtful and meticulous about it. So there's that state bill, and there's several others that we're kind of monitoring related to planning and zoning, also building, also finance, general governance. So we'll have to have another session with our city attorney and figure that one out.
Awesome, thanks. That's all I had.
Thank you. Any other board member comment? Yes.
Based on the presentation today for Lake Apopka, when they present, they're going to do a presentation to City Council too, I suppose.
They're likely, in my thought process, the next step would be bringing an ordinance back to this board and giving you some time to review it and take action on the next meeting. You always have the opportunity to kick it back and say, hey, we'd like these amendments done, and then we would work with their team on making those and bring it back to P&Z when they're comfortable with recommending an approval to council.
Okay.
But if council really would like to see a workshop specifically for them in the meantime without taking action on it, we could always look at that option too. I'd have to check with the city manager.
I would recommend that. So that was it.
Okay, that concludes our board member comment. Do we have any comments from the staff?
Dwayne, who's the new guy?
Finally.
So hi, my name is Alan. I've just started on my second week here. I was at Mascot next door and also Sumter County, and I spent really the last 17 years working for the city of Winter Garden. So I'm really excited to be here, and I'm really impressed with the way the city is coming together. You guys really care about the vision of where you want to go, and I think I'm really excited to be here and make a difference for everybody. So thank you.
Thanks, Alan.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, we're proud to call
Planner 1, Planner 2,
we're proud to call Alan Booker our newest senior planner. He has quite a bit of experience. He's joining Dwayne as our second of only two people in planning and zoning for one of the fastest growing areas in the state. So they both have their hands full, but I know Dwayne's happy to have someone in that seat. And he comes here with a lot of experience, a lot of passion for good planning. He had studied and reached out to us about our form-based code probably about a year ago or so. He's got experience working with our chief building official, Jeff Gerling, who also oversees building and permitting for the city of Mascot, studying for his AICP exam. He's doing all the right things, and we're just thrilled to have him here on our team.
Very good. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, do we have any other staff comments?
Dwayne, I see the bullets. Do you want to speak to this, or do you want me to go? Okay. All right, so we have shared the code update with you all and received feedback from just about everyone at this point. The next step in the process, which we're already doing, is getting legal review. It's a lot on the landscaping side especially. My goal is to bring that back to P&Z at either your next meeting or the one following for a board action, and then taking that to City Council for approval. There's a few general changes, but really the two biggest ones will be the agrarian update, which we're excited about, which Hannah, who used to work with Dwayne, as you know, did a lot of work on that, a lot of stakeholder feedback, thanks to Lindsay and some of the others. And then the comp plan year amendment. We have a consultant that we've selected, Will Dan, who personally I haven't done a lot of work with, but that's going to be on the council agenda for this coming Monday. One of the things we looked at with their consultant proposal is they had kind of in the middle realm of the fee, but they had the most public engagement built into their scope. They had 3 public meetings for feedback outside of council and P&Z meetings. They even brought up certain city events and putting pop-up booths to meet the people where they're at and get their feedback on that, and then also doing a city interactive website for people to go on digitally. The public input and then a focus on infrastructure and services, especially the levels of service, with the various different elements like transportation, parks, and utilities, things of that nature. That's definitely an area where we need improvement and we need community feedback, and so I'm confident that consultant team is really going to help us meet that deadline of January that's required by the state, but then also do it in a way that helps move us closer to our vision and our plan as a city. Joint planning agreement is also on the agenda for council to take action on May 5th. That took quite a while, but we're excited to finally bring that for board consideration. Cherry Lake Village PUD amendment, we were going to have a community meeting on that. I think the applicant just really wasn't on the same page as us yet necessarily on the map and the text amendments. So we're spending a little bit more time with them prior to engaging the community and getting their feedback. That is really the last piece of property in the Cherry Lake Estates, just south of Cherry Lake Park, where the new school is going in, and it's kind of an important piece of property in that area. Let's see, Villa City, the feature lanes and rezoning. We had a meeting with them yesterday, I guess. It feels like 3 days ago already. Their attorney has retired and kind of transitioned to a new attorney, and we're still working with their same planning group that worked on the initial PUD back in the mid-20-teens, if you will, and we're still working with them on a revised future land use and zoning map. I think we're close, but we also need time to go over some development agreement changes, which will focus on land dedications for things like parks and schools, transportation improvements along Villa City Road, and also another collector road. The timing of those, as Marty mentioned in his comments, all those things are very critical. So we're trying to take our time and doing it right rather than rushing it. Bright Hill is another similar one. That's really a similar project to Villa City, just north of the Turnpike. I know that developers also anxious to put a comprehensive master plan together for that area. It's likely going to be a mix of our new categories similar to Villa City with our town, village, and hamlet, kind of radiating out to the lower density areas. But these projects are just extremely complex. We don't always see eye to eye right away, and so negotiation and making sure that we get these, not only the zoning maps, but the development agreements right before we bring them for board consideration. Those things are critical to us. So a lot of moving pieces. We will be presenting at council at 6 o'clock for a budget workshop, kind of just giving a little bit of development framework, and but any budgetary changes between this year and next year that's being proposed. Not much from our department necessarily, but code compliance will be talked about. So I invite you all to attend that if you're free on Monday at 6 o'clock. We'd love to have you here. Dwayne, did I miss anything? Okay. Anita, did we get everything? Okay. Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Mazza, that is the last item that we have. So do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Sorry, that was fast.
Very well done. We are adjourned. Thank you.